What happens when the most feared conqueror in human history dies? When Genghis Khan took his final breath in 1227, his empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. It was the largest contiguous land empire the world had ever seen. Cities had burned, kingdoms had collapsed, entire civilizations had fallen beneath the thunder of Mongol horses. From the walls of Zhengdu in China to the plains of Central Asia, fear traveled faster than the Mongol cavalry. But history teaches us something important. Empires built by one man often collapse with him. When Alexander the Great died, his empire fractured almost immediately. When powerful warlords disappear, chaos usually follows. So why didn't this empire fall apart? Why did it grow even larger? Why did it become even more powerful after its founder was gone? The answer lies in a man history rarely glorifies. A ruler overshadowed by his legendary father, a leader who did not merely inherit an empire, he transformed it into a superpower. His name was Ögedei Khan. And without him, the Mongol Empire might not have survived. Chapter 1. A Throne of Fire. When Genghis Khan died, the empire was vast, but it was fragile. It was a machine built for conquest, but governing millions of people across continents? That was another challenge entirely. His sons were powerful, ambitious, dangerous. Jochi the eldest had already died under tense and mysterious circumstances. Chagatai was fierce and loyal to Mongol law, but politically inflexible. Tolui was a brilliant battlefield commander, deeply respected by the Mongol elite, but still young. And then there was Ögedei. He wasn't the most feared. He wasn't the greatest warrior. He wasn't the most charismatic, but he was steady. And Genghis Khan understood something critical. An empire that large could not be ruled by rage alone. It needed balance, diplomacy, administration. It needed someone who could listen as well as command. In 1229, beneath the endless sky of the Mongolian steppe, a grand Kurultai was held. Tribal leaders gathered, princes debated, loyalties were tested, and in the end they raised Ögedei as the new great Khan. The son of the conqueror now carried the weight of the world. Chapter 2. The storm moves west. If Europe believed the Mongol threat would fade after Genghis Khan's death, they were catastrophically wrong. Ögedei did not slow the conquests. He intensified them. Under his authority, generals like Batu Khan and the brilliant strategist Subutai launched one of the most terrifying campaigns in medieval history. They crushed the remnants of Kievan Rus. They destroyed Polish and German forces at the Battle of Legnica. They annihilated the Hungarian army at the Battle of Mohi. European knights, armored symbols of medieval power, were outmaneuvered, surrounded, and destroyed by highly mobile Mongol horse archers. Cities burned from Kiev to Pest. Refugees flooded westward. Chroniclers described the Mongols as divine punishment sent by God, and they kept advancing. Some historians believe that had Ögedei lived just a few more years, Mongol forces might have marched into Germany, Italy, perhaps even France. Europe stood on the edge of devastation. Chapter 3. The Conquest of China. While Europe trembled, the East faced its own reckoning. The Jin dynasty in northern China had resisted the Mongols for decades, but under Ögedei's leadership, Mongol forces completed the conquest in 1234. This was not just another victory, it was transformational. For the first time, the Mongols ruled over highly advanced urban civilizations with sophisticated taxation systems, engineering, and siege technology, complex bureaucracies, massive agricultural economies. Ögedei realized something his father had only begun to understand. An empire cannot survive on conquest alone. It must learn to govern, it must adapt, and it must evolve beyond the battlefield. Chapter 4. From Conquerors to Rulers. This is where Ögedei truly shaped history. He established Karakorum as a permanent imperial capital, a symbol that the Mongols were no longer just nomadic conquerors, but rulers of a global empire. He expanded the Yam postal relay system, creating a communication network stretching thousands of kilometers. Messages could cross continents in weeks. He formalized taxation systems. He employed Persian administrators, Chinese scholars, and Central Asian officials. He understood that talent mattered more than ethnicity. Unlike many rulers of his era, he maintained religious tolerance. Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, and traditional Mongol shamans coexisted under Mongol authority. Trade flourished along the Silk Road. For a brief moment in history, East and West were connected under a single political structure, and that structure held because of Ögedei. Chapter 5. the flawed emperor. But no ruler escapes imperfection. Historical sources describe Ögedei as generous and open-handed, but indulgent. Feasts were frequent, celebrations were constant. He was known for heavy drinking, and some accounts suggest his health deteriorated as a result. Advisors worried, rivals whispered. Yet despite his personal weaknesses, the empire did not fracture. His administrative systems were strong, his generals were loyal, his foundations were solid. In 1241, at the very height of Mongol expansion into Europe, Ögedei died. The cause remains debated, illness, possibly worsened by alcohol, and suddenly everything changed. Chapter 6. The moment Europe was saved. When news of Ögedei's death reached the Mongol armies deep in Europe, the unstoppable advance halted. By tradition, princes of royal blood had to return for a Kurultai to elect the next great Khan. The invasion stopped, not because Europe defeated them, not because castles held firm, but because Mongol politics demanded it. Europe was spared by succession law had Ögedei lived longer. The map of Europe today might look very different. Final reflection, was he greater than his father? History celebrates Genghis Khan as the unstoppable conqueror, and rightfully so, but conquest is only half of empire. Without structure, administration, and continuity, even the greatest conquests fade. Ögedei did not create the storm. He sustained it. He did not ignite the fire. He ensured it did not burn itself out. So was he greater than his father, perhaps not in legend, but in legacy. Without Ögedei Khan, the Mongol Empire might have shattered in 1227. Instead, it became the largest land empire in human history, and that may be the greatest achievement of all.